There we go. Here we go. Yay. Good stuff, people. All right. YouTube Live, noontime, check. Shower, check. Walk, check. Coaching, check. Party, check. Wow, it has been a busy day. It has been, and it may continue to be so as people are tuning in or not. All good, regardless. Irregardless. Here we are, noontime, checking the schedule to make sure I'm showing up at the time I said I'd show up. It's happened. It has happened that I have not. Where's the secret page? There we go. So, Cheryl, nice to see you. Let me expand, make the words bigger and my picture smaller. There we go. Shannon in retrograde. Thank you. I didn't even think about that. But yes, I'm so glad you can see and hear me. Wonderful. Let me just, no, thank you. And yay. And there we go. Yes, declutter party. Or excuse me, 8 a.m. declutter party, 12 p.m. YouTube. Yeah, we had all the things. My trip, Cheryl, was wonderful. It really was. One of the things that I have written down on my kind of list of things to do may sound, I don't even know it's my list of things to do, but it literally says, I'll read it from, become a better / more comfortable international traveler. And I want to offer to you that, yeah, I did all sorts of international things that I just wasn't in the habit of doing. So I did pretty well. So yay. And hey, Wendy LCM, thank you so much. Good day to you. Amazon has had issues. The Amazon web storage is causing hiccups all around. Yay. Not yay, but yes, because I have noticed some glitches this morning with things. So I'm glad to know. Peace of mind. It isn't just me. It's the world. So there we go. What else we got going on today? What else we got going on? So notice that some of the things that can be on your things to do list have nothing to do with clutter, but and even decluttering. Decluttering kind of helps you become more of the person you want to be. And much like the destination, what is the kind of person I want to be? The inference being, if you're hanging out with me, I want to be less cluttered than I currently am. Because having less clutter, ostensibly, feels good than having too much clutter or even clutter in general. Now, things will temporarily clutter up. There we go. Cheryl. Cheryl has got 6 more boxes to donate. You are on a roll. I put the dress that I had this morning at the TikTok live. That is now in the donation bag for me. Yay. So good stuff. Anybody else have any decluttering wins you want to add to in the chat? Feel free. Feel free to do that. I am doing some good stuff, decluttering kind of the clutter of my brain of things to do, but knowing full well that I need to work on, and I'm going to write it down because this is the time I said it, which would be family tree and photos, because I'm going to a family wedding. And I want to be the person who does that. So yeah, maybe later today, and that will be a thing that start for a little bit. Here's a funny thing. I went through some old photos this weekend because a friend of mine got in touch about a specific photo that I remember. I can totally picture it in my head. And he says, do you still have that picture of me and somebody else? And I was like, I don't know if I have it, but I'll look when I get back from my trip. And sure enough, I did. I went through 5 photo albums of like because at least I organized them by like year, time frame. And the interesting thing was to me was, first of all, how much space photo albums take up. And some of the things that I've gone through my photo albums kind of, what do I want to say? Like haphazardly, occasionally, very on the very surface before, but realizing right now that I'm feeling so much better about divvying up and kind of dismantling my photo albums, sharing photos with people, texting them, pitching some of them. That was the thing I was going to say. This is, I was thinking library and shredder ? So anywho, there we go. What Wendy is saying, I have been decluttering my brain. Me too. By making a list of the labels I want to make to organize my craft supplies and anything else that my brain decides needs to be organized. Now, I will share this with you. Labels have a good place when you follow them. So I think I was talking about this actually with a client on one-on-one coaching today. The idea of, or think about this. I'm kind of winging it here. So I may be stumbling on the better words, but I'm going to start. It takes more energy for your brain to think and recall and remember a story based on a visual trigger than it does to simply read something that is written down. Because to write down something, to label something, you need to articulate that word or maybe those words of supplies, for example, or a list of things to do. You've already done the working of ironically, how do I articulate this? The fact that I could not think of the word articulate was kind of cracking me up. That has happened to me before. So notice that. Melissa, yeah, glad you're here in good company. So I offer to you, there is like, if we measured the amount of energy, this is just a hypothetical, right? This is just a hypothetical. Yeah, vacation brain, maybe Shannon, or just, who knows, postmenopausal brain, human brain with a lot of stuff going on. I'm not worried about it, but it is comical that I cannot articulate the definition of articulation. But think about it. When you look at something, and that is simply a visual reminder, your brain needs to remember the phrase that describes what that thing is and the action you're supposed to take. Versus if you simply write down reply to jury duty summons, or not summons, like it was like a, what do you call it, questionnaire. Then you've already articulated that and you write it down, and then reading is so much less of a heavy lift, you know? Mhm. Yes, and I agree 100%, Wendy. I have my supplies sorted in small bins. I end up taking them all down. I have to see them before I know what they are, writing down the label and just reading the label. As long as you are a person who then doesn't just pitch everything in there, is so much less taxing on your brain. Yes, labels will save me time in the long run, completely, and mental energy. Doesn't that sound lovely? Having more mental energy for good things and not having to worry about it. So decluttering to me really can get down to literally that granular thing, like the processing energy of looking and recognizing and deciding versus, yes, I know where my pens are because that says like black pens. So yay for labels in that respect. Good stuff. Yay for writing things down to make it easier on your brain. Because here's the deal. I don't know if anybody else has this situation, but you may put something like on the corner of the kitchen counter to remind you to do something. You think a process is to say, if I have an item on the counter, for example, like an empty milk jug, me looking at the empty milk jug should be the trigger to pop open the storybook that says, I need to go buy milk. But if every time you look at it and you say, I need to go buy milk, and yet you're not buying milk, your brain is going to realize that that system isn't going to work. And then it's going to kind of make that thing on the corner of the kitchen counter invisible to you. You will no longer see it because your brain is tired of reminding you to do something. So it's just going to almost turn it invisible. So I ask you, sometimes, I mean, I have visual reminders around here. If they're working, use them. But if you wait too long, there's like a window of opportunity where the visual reminder ceases to be effective because you're, for whatever reason it is, you're not doing the thing. So get curious about that. I can't be the only one, right? Huh? Come on. Anyhow, in case you're new here, In case you're just scrolling on the YouTubes, I don't think people scroll on the YouTubes as much as they do on the TikToks, but you never know. My name is Beth. I am a decluttering life coach, and my coaching is called Destination Decluttered. And I'm trying to find a place to put my used tea bag. So I'm here for the next like hour or so, 45 minutes, 51 minutes, 49 minutes to help you where you're stuck with clutter. Everybody's on the same journey from where you are to being destination decluttered. Some of us are closer, some of us are farther. But even when you get to a place, you want to maintain being there. You don't want to just get there and visit and then kind of slide back, you know? Yeah. So, how I was about to say, notice I stopped and corrected myself or improved, hopefully, my instead of how can I help you today? How about where are you stuck with your clutter on your clutter journey? What part of the map? Where have you stopped your car on the road trip to declutter, destination decluttered? Where has your car stopped and you, for whatever reason, cannot seem to get yourself moving in that direction? Because it changes every day. Yeah. Now, Wendy, I do love this. Thank you for letting me know that I'm not alone. She says, yes, I do that to myself. Often leave it out to remind me that I need to do something. Yes, visual reminder, buy it again, add it to my shopping list, add it to the cart, something. So notice that that can work. It's just when it doesn't work, get curious to do things. Yeah. Oh, there you go. I do not have any TV service, so my entertainment is streaming services. I browse YouTube frequently. Awesome. That's one of the reasons, frankly, I show up for the people who know I'm going to show up. I totally show up for you guys. I totally am showing up for the email club, the email group, because you guys know when I'm going to show up. But really, I am doing the lives on TikTok and YouTube to also be available for people who don't know that there's help out there for decluttering, and to let them know that there's help out there. And you guys are part of this too, because this crew is so welcoming and so supportive of each other and so wonderful and kind of the circle remains unbroken, but expanding the circle to include new people. So aren't we kind of cool? So I say to you, let's welcome some new people if they come by, of course. But in the meantime, where are we on our journeys towards decluttering, towards becoming a better, more comfortable international traveler? And again, it's not just a you get there and you stay there. It's maintaining that. It's maintaining that strength, that flexibility. Because I think about that. Like I expanded my nervous system capacity a number of times in the past week, doing things that I had not done before. Things like, being the person who rents the car, being the person who does a lot of the driving, a lot of stuff that sometimes I like it when my husband just takes care of that or somebody else takes care of it. I don't mind it, you know? Oh, so this is kind of fun. Wendy says, I cannot express how much you helped me on my journey to declutter. You gave me a rope to help get myself out of the hole. Now you are helping me add the dirt to the hole to keep me out. Yeah, let's fill up that hole so you don't fall back in again. But you learn, you practice every day that you are practicing the act of decluttering. You are filling a little bit in of that hole and you will be less likely to fall back in it because you've changed your habits. So yay for that. Yay for that. And also being comfortable with, and this is a bit of like nervous system safety of when things get a little bit cluttered, not getting afraid, the fear of, oh my God, it's always going to be this way. Being like, it's not a big deal. I'm going to deal with it. And then you deal with it at a pace that feels good to you. I knew, for example, that my summer was busy and we had a lot of travel. And there would be, and I looked down the road, you look ahead through the windshield and I said, but I know, and I'm looking at my calendar, I know that there is a time between now and Thanksgiving where there are weeks on end that I will be in my house. Weeks on end that I will be in my house not traveling, and weeks on end in my house without my husband here to interrupt me. Now, even if he was here, I would probably get into some of these things that I'm going to get into. As I mentioned, I wrote down the list to self, family tree, and photos. So I'm going to chunk those down and do a little bit at a time. And yay, Wendy. Yay, Wendy, for keeping on going on that journey, because it is a journey to decluttering. It is. And I just want to remind you all that it can feel good to do it, to not just have it be done by somebody else, but I think you appreciate things more. You understand, I think there's more of a satisfaction sometimes of doing certain jobs yourself, certain things that only you can do, making decisions on what you want in your craft supplies and what you don't want in your craft supplies. There are other things you can easily, see if somebody else will do them. So honing in on the stuff that I was going to say you are good at, but you may not feel like you're good at it. But you could be better at it just by practice. And it can be just that little bit of a time, 15 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be every day. But it's also kind of breaking the habit of all or nothing. So good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, I'm rambling a bit here, I admit. What do you guys want to talk about today? What's going to make this time? Notice, where are you stuck? What, that type of thing. Put some things in the comments and let's get into it. And yay, Wendy says, I am a work in progress. I love it. I am proud of myself when I don't do any stress shopping to clutter me back up. I find another way to work through without shopping to soothe. Yes, anybody here ever shopped to soothe themselves? I will share with you. I wasn't feeling well in my tummy yesterday. I guess I was hungry. I didn't realize it. I went to the grocery store. Oh my God, did I buy like carbs? Comfort food for me. Triscuits. Almost bought mac and cheese. Got a box of rice. Got a got a frozen pizza. The things you do to make yourself feel better. Yeah. The things you do to make yourself feel better are, soothing you. Think about that. Any kind of animal, ourselves included. You can't see it because I've got my long sleeves on, but we all have hairs on our arms, and things can make it so our fur goes zing. How can you soothe yourself? How can you make sure that that's nothing to be afraid of? Sometimes things are rightly something worth focusing on to say, is my safety in trouble here? The cool thing is when you have examples of that, what were we talking about? When you have examples of that, then you can also say, okay, compared to that, where my nervous system was rightly on alert because I was nervous about my safety. Then when we feel that our body reacts in the same way when we open up the closet and we see, quote, too many clothes, that's when you can put up your traffic cop hand and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. You guys, don't go from 0 to 60. There's nothing to be afraid of here. Yeah. Shannon, I love that. Thank you. Shannon is offering now I can recognize when I'm stress shopping. Pre-Beth, I wouldn't have realized it was happening. And here's the wonderful thing is you are starting to get kind of more in touch with yourself and asking yourself, why am I doing this? Like I looked down at my little grocery basket yesterday and I said to my husband, I literally texted him and I said, I can tell I'm not feeling well and I want some comfort food. And my body is telling me to have some Triscuits, so I'm going to honor that. I'm not going to try to force myself to eat kale and Brussels sprouts when I'm not feeling well. But I noticed it and I was okay with it. So notice when you are stress shopping, because I also needed food in the house, food that I could eat. I couldn't bring home food that I wouldn't eat because then I'd get worse. So just pausing and slowing down momentarily. It doesn't mean you come to a screeching stop, but slowing down your habitual whatevers to just even notice. Notice when you're in a car and you slow down and you can read a sign more easily, as opposed to whizzing by it and you miss the signs. That's what we do with ourselves. Slowing down so you can notice the sign that says, there's nothing wrong today, you're just tired. The one that says, I think I'm shopping to because I'm stressed out. I'm trying to make myself feel better than I do now. I love that word, better. Perfection will always jam you up. Perfection, wolf in sheep's clothing. It says it's a good thing. It's not. For what we're talking about, of course. I mean, you want a brain surgeon or an eye surgeon to be aiming for perfection. But for what we're doing, better and our definition of good enough is enough to get us started. Doesn't have to be perfect, you know? Yeah. Ellen, I hear you. Yeah. Yeah. Ellen says, tired after a long weekend. Yeah, me too. But still getting things done, although slowly. Ellen, I'm giving you a high five. That's how I am. Earlier today, I honestly had to, I coach myself all the time because I'm like, wait a minute, I am tired. And then I realized I'm still on a bit of a jet lag because I woke up around 4 o'clock this morning and it was not easy for me to get back to sleep. So I stayed awake and I did not sleep between 4 and 6:45. And then I did a TikTok live and then a declutter party and then some coaching and a walk and a shower. Now we're on the YouTube live. So when I stop to examine the circumstances, I get a better understanding of why I'm tired. And that when I'm tired, much like you, Ellen, moving at a slower pace. And as Wendy just says, slowly is still progress. Yeah. And sometimes we're not going to move at all. That is also okay. Yeah. And here's a fun thing. I don't know if you guys look at the on your phone, there's like a what do you call it? The thing, the stepper, the steps you take thing. So here's today. Now the day's not over and I am going to walk, but notice that there was a place on Wednesday of last week where I barely moved. You know why I barely moved that day? Because I drove to a spa with my friends and we walked from like the changing room to the hot springs, from the hot springs to the changing room upstairs, got a massage downstairs, walked to the bar, got a glass of wine and a cheese board, walked to the car, drove back. There's going to be context. It's not just a number. The numbers tell stories. And be okay with the stories. Tired was a hard lesson, says Wendy. Was a hard lesson during my journey. I was decluttering every day for months. Every day. I felt guilty not doing anything one day. It took me a long time to realize it was okay to rest. Notice, yeah. Feeling safe. Feeling your nervous system that you're not going to get in trouble for resting. That is a really powerful lesson in this kind of go, hustle, productive, capitalist, what is that thing? The Protestant work ethic, all of that stuff. There are so many judgy phrases about people who are taking things slowly, taking a siesta, not working on a Sunday. A lot of judgment around that and external judgment, but internal judgment too. I have grown more comfortable with that. And yet I also, again, as I said, oh my gosh, did I get enough done yesterday? Did I prove to who that I'm okay, that I am doing a good job? Because we have negative opinions of people who rest too much because we have this word lazy. Now, I like to say to myself, I'm not lazy, I'm efficient. Because me not doing something for a while is storing up energy so then I can easily go and when I have the energy, boom, boom, boom. So I try not to judge myself when I am tired. Like, for example, today, I'll be honest with you, I'm feeling a little bit weary. I have some coaching to do, but then I'm going to take a few hours this afternoon. I'm going to go out and do something. I'm going to come back. I may nap, I may rest, but then I find myself getting a slightly second wind in the afternoon or the evening, and that's when I tidy things up a little bit. Yeah. Yep. There's a reason that's saying you cannot pour from an empty cup. Yeah. Got to fill your cup so your family can have the overflow without draining yourself, and ideally your your family learns to fill their cups too. Everybody, I think, God knows, my family would benefit from recognizing when the nervous system is out of whack and getting it back into whack. I'm only learning it now in my 50s. I hope my nieces and nephews are learning these lessons from their parents and their auntie who can lead by example. Um, Even honestly, when we were traveling last week, I honored the fact that there was one day. And the funny thing was, it wasn't that Wednesday, it was Tuesday. The weather was kind of stinky. And I just didn't feel like driving anymore. But another person in our travel party could do that. And I said, you know what? I know I'm in a foreign country. I know there are things here that I may never see at home, but I am tired and I need some time just to myself. So I said, I'm going to stay here in this cute little apartment that we rented. I've got a book and I'm going to curl up in bed and read this book while it is gray and rainy out. And I am telling you, I would not have done that in years past. I would have been afraid I'll never get here again, afraid my friends would judge me for being tired early, afraid it meant I was getting older. I was afraid that I'll never get there again and not see these things, so I have to go see them all. And what I realized that is my cup was getting empty. And if I did not fill my cup, as we're using that phrase, I would have been extra cranky to my friends because I would have been continuing to empty and empty and empty. But what did I do? I gave them the keys to the car. I said, I'm not judging you. Please go. Don't let what I'm doing stop you from doing what you want to do. And then I did just that. I felt great, cuddled up in bed, reading a book. And then at a certain point, I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to get out of the bed. And I went for a walk and I found a botanical garden and I saw a giant tree and I walked around there and I found my way to the grocery store. And those things helped me become, again, a better and more comfortable international traveler because of not of the fear of FOMO, missing out. And when they came back, I felt so much better. And I had walked on my own as much as we had all walked together. Pardon me, I got a notification here. I just want to make sure it's not anything. Oh, funny. My husband is overseas. Talk about international traveling. He just, I believe, crossed the border into Czechoslovakia. Go figure. I'm just trying to shut off my messages here as not to interrupt us. There we go. Do not disturb. So, looking down in my cup here. What have you got in your cup? Is it almost empty? Do you like what you're filling your cup with? I'm pretty much a tea and water kind of gal. Are you filling your cup with stuff that's not giving you a good feeling? You can change it anytime, people. Anytime. So, there was something I was going to say. Hold on. See if it comes back. Had something to do with the email group. Oh, well, this is kind of crazy. I will say this, and I'm looking over here to kind of get more kind of, instead of ethereal, get a little bit more, grounded in the real world. And I mean that in a good way. Is freaking a week from Friday is Halloween. Isn't that crazy? As a heads up, I will get this out there. I think I don't know who here is in the what do you call it? Um, Pen Pal Club. But here's a fun thing I just want to let you guys know about, and it'll be on the recording, is I'm thinking of doing something on Thursday, the 30th. I think I'm going to schedule a Zoom for everybody. Anybody who wants to show up, and it's going to be kind of a quote costume party, but not your typical Halloween costume. It's going to be bring a piece of clothing that is from your clothing collection that you're struggling to part with because it's a costume, and see if when we talk about it, it can help. And you hear people talking about their clothes. It can help you maybe release that item of clothing that's been hanging there forever in your closet. So I think that's going to be kind of fun. I cannot believe November 1st is in less than 2 weeks. That a few weeks after that is going to be Thanksgiving. How's everybody doing with your clutter and Thanksgiving and the holidays coming up? I remember one of my very first one-on-one clients, and this was when I was still just helping a friend, really. It wasn't even like me thinking of doing coaching, but I remember helping her because she was a friend, and I went to her house, and it was, she would admit it was a disaster. And she was like, "Oh, here, let's just leave the house and we can go out for coffee." And I looked around and I knew I could help her with this if she wanted help. And I said, "Do not take this in a judgy way, but would you like some help kind of creating some order out of this chaos?" And she and I had worked together for years. She knows I'm a good soul. And so she almost burst into tears and she was like, "That would be awesome." And I remember one of the things I always think about her around this time, because one of the things, the fears she had with clutter was that she was afraid that on Halloween, she was afraid to open the door all the way because the parents of the trick-or-treaters could look around her and see her house being messy. And even if she kind of shoved everything out of the doorways, she was afraid that one of the neighborhood kids might say, "I have to go to the bathroom," and that she'd have to bring the parents and the kid in and walk them to the bathroom, and then they would judge her on how messy her house was. I mean, suburbia, come on. But I think about that and how our fear is caused by clutter sometimes. The fear of being judged lazy. I mean, that's a big one if you think about it. Just get up off of your ass and do it. Yeah, sometimes you don't have the energy, or sometimes you just don't have the system, or your brain is a wonderful creative machine in many other ways, but for whatever reason, the way it's wired and the way you were raised, you don't have a process to get things done and decluttered easily. And so we hunkered down and we created some, I mean, we did the best we could with the day we had. Um, and I just want to offer to you that it was such a delight when she felt better and I could see her little girls, who now were probably in their teens, for crying out loud, um, light up at the fact that they had space to spread out and play, but then also hopefully put away their toys. Hey, Sue, nice to hear from you. Sue, I know I'm in a different place because I don't have any clothes, shoes, or accessories that weren't decluttered. Wow, you went through those categories. Awesome. Not one piece. Lots of other works. Thanks, even though I have some party FOMO. You know what? It's all good. It's all good. Here's a funny thing. I will be shortly after this YouTube live, I will be going out this afternoon to buy a pair of shoes because I realized that I decluttered my shoes, and the shoes that I have for special occasions are totally gone because they were uncomfortable. I rarely have special occasions to wear shoes to. And even the ones that are special are I've kind of more casualified my stuff. I will go out and I will be looking for a pair of shoes to wear to a wedding, but I'm going to make sure that they are ones that I can wear again with other outfits. I'm going to make sure that they are attractive with my outfit, but slash and that I like how they look and I could wear them again. So that's where I am in my journey. I am happily wearing the same things over and over again because I don't see a lot out there that inspires me. I don't want to look like Little House on the Prairie. I am not sporty spice. I mean, so to me, until I find something I really love, and this is a cool thing, is we were talking earlier on the TikTok live about somebody afraid to go shopping on vacation because kind of stop me before I shop again type of thing. And I offered to her just the idea of allowing yourself the feeling of buying anything you want, but raising the bar as to what the thing is that you're going to buy if it makes you feel a certain way. And this happened to me in Chicago over the summer where my birthday. I was like, I like Marimekko. I like a lot of, not all their stuff, but I like their style. I like some of their stuff. So I Googled to see if anybody was selling any Marimekko clothing around the Chicago area. And lo and behold, there was a little boutique within walking distance of our hotel. So my husband and I walked down there, and here's the crazy thing. They didn't have a lot of stuff. They had a thing or two posted on their website, and my inference was thinking that they would have more. So I go in and I don't see any of it. Now I am, even though I'm talking here in my own house to people across the globe, I'm a pretty private person, and sometimes it takes a lot for me to ask for help when I'm in a place. I would rather problem solve and see if I can do it on my own. But I said, okay, this is silly. So I asked the woman behind the counter, I said, I looked up online and I thought you had like these dresses. And she says, oh, yeah, no, we used to. I think we have one left. And she goes in the back and she brings it out. It's black and white. You know how I like black and white. It's a graphic design. You know how I like that. And the one dress in the shop that she had of the designer that I liked was my size. Well, the universe is pointing in a certain direction, but we'll see. And I went and tried it on, and it looked good and it felt good. Now, did I have an event to wear it to specifically? No. But I knew that that was the kind of thing that I would definitely wear in the future. And I bought it. I allowed myself to buy it. And here's the fun thing. That's what I'm going to wear to this wedding in less than a week. And I'm psyched about it. I'm psyched that I'm going to be able. I didn't, I bought it for kind of a someday occasion, but I knew that that would be the kind of thing that I would wear. It's not going to be like a one and done type of thing. So allow yourself the freedom to buy the thing, but then make sure you make an opportunity to wear it. I did this with, again, another Marimekko dress. I tried it on during one of the declutter parties. I fit into it a while back, and then I didn't fit into it. And now it's actually a little bit almost not too big for me, but it fits differently because I've strangely lost a little bit more weight than I anticipated. And I reminded myself that I could wear that dress again. And so I wore it when we saw Herb Alpert. So things will change. I saw the dress that I wore last Thanksgiving, and I didn't like how I looked in it then. I didn't like how I looked at it in pictures. So the inference is even if I wear it now, it's going to be even bigger on me. And so I happily put that in a donation bag this morning because I saw the pictures like 2 nights ago. The neat thing about that is that that's where you come to kind of when you're at destination decluttered, that's how you maintain your decluttering. So notice Therapy Gal Sue she says, I'm in a different place now because before I hadn't decluttered my shoes or my clothes or my accessories. Now they've gone through a kind of a round of decluttering. The interesting thing will be, Sue, is for you in 6 months. When would that be? October 20th, like April 20th, to see if you've worn the clothes you thought you were going to wear. If you've worn everything, if they feel as good as you hope they would. You may do another round of decluttering, and it may not be a giant kind of all at once. It can be piecemeal as you try on things. Do you like how they fit? Yeah. So trust that you made a good decision right now. You're making the best decision with the information you have, but you don't know what the next 6 months will bring. But allow yourself the freedom to bring in something new, and also continue to allow yourself the freedom to continue to release things that don't want, you know? Hey, yeah, and that's what I needed to hear, says Sue. A watch for my all or nothing and fear from the backseat driver. 100%. And write that down to yourself. Write a note to self, like a label. Am I thinking all or nothing? Could I chunk this down? Is fear talking or is love talking? Am I being rigid or am I being flexible? Remind yourself of these things, and writing them down can sometimes help. Now, I love this because Kerry O'Callahan with the G, I love it. Yesterday, I did some decluttering with subscriptions of my credit card statement. I canceled 3 subscription I don't need and will save $984 in the next year. That is fabulous. That is fabulous, my dear. So cool. So cool. And that is a method of decluttering. I was speaking to a one-on-one client today about decluttering your email box and your postal mailbox so that you have less stuff coming in. What a cool idea. And these things pay dividends in the future. Think of the things you bought, as Wendy says. I had some stuff that I was like, I will keep this in case I need it. But then I got real with myself and was like, okay, we hate this. It needs to go. Yeah, never keep anything you hate. We live in such a prolific, abundant society that even if you don't have something because you let go of it, you could probably get it for free somewhere. You can borrow it from somebody. So yay for decluttering. And here's a fun thing too. Think about this. This is one of the things my husband and I did. I thought this would be kind of fun. We were trying to be more mindful of the amount of money we were spending on going out to dinner or eating out or going out for drinks and things. We used to do that a lot more. This must have been pre-2019 because our habits have changed because of after COVID. And so what I did was I kept track of every time we didn't go out and estimated around how much money we would have spent. So I offer this as kind of a flip side to what Carrie was saying, but for the same reason, is thinking how much money you save by just not buying the thing that you saw in the place, in the like the souvenir shop. Again, not being all or nothing, not saying I can't do anything unless you truly are going to buy something that you're going to regret, but sitting there with the item. And I do this a lot too. I will see things because I go to these gift shops and I see things that look clever and fun and the colors I like. And then I say, okay, wait a minute. Let me just anticipate. I feel the dopamine rush of, oh my God, that's so cute. But then does that crash? How will I feel about this when it's at my house? How will I feel about this when I need to dust it? How will I feel about it when I have to wash it and iron it, as I have a pile of laundry to iron? How will I feel about this a year from now? Will I still love it as much as I do now? And the interesting thing, and I will share this with you guys, is recently I have started to really myself pay attention to the feeling I get when I've made a purchase of something that I really love, and it gives me kind of that long lasting kind of satisfaction. I feel like I'm talking about either chewing gum or like cigarettes or something, but I'm thinking of, instead of that kind of dopamine, like that sugar rush and crash, that it's more like something that's you like and it's tasty and it is nutritious. I know I've mentioned it before, but I will say it again. I get such joy seeing the lamp that's hanging above me. I've wanted one for decades. I finally said I'm worthy of buying it. Had I bought it decades ago, it would have been cheaper. But notice my mindset and my nervous system were too strong in saying that's not worth it. But every day I look at that and it expands my nervous system. It reminds me the satisfaction I can get. Now, do I then go spend tons of money on everything? No, I don't. But I know the feeling of, yeah, I love that feeling. When I was on my vacation, I bought a little kind of canvas tote bag at the place where we went and got these lovely cocktails. And I was spur of the moment, like, oh, that'd be so cool. But then I thought I could picture myself using it at home. I could picture myself using it at home and looking at the logo and being reminded of a fun trip I took with my friends. Now, I also could have easily not done that and still remembered it. So, allowing yourself the flexibility and learning how to trust yourself. You know how people say, I can't trust myself in front of the chocolate, or I can't trust myself around alcohol or going into a shopping mall. Learning to trust yourself that you're making good decisions for you, both when you don't spend and when you spend. And when you thought you were going to spend money on something, kind of like Kerry did, and then changing your mind, being like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm done with that. So we all learn. This is all a learning experience. This is all just evolving. Yeah. Right. And Wendy, and notice what we do. We slow our roll. We don't immediately grab it and say, oh, this is fun and it's going to make me feel this sugar rush forever, because we've learned it's not true. Because that's what the clutter does. Even honestly, these little guys right here, this little thing, I would not have regretted not buying these in Paris. Now I have them and they don't work the way I thought, so they may go into the little donation bag too, because I have something else that I can use to get tea bags out of my tea, which is this spoon that has a little bit more sentimental value. So Wendy is saying, when I take a trip now, I will have to practice. Will I use this? So notice you're slowing your roll and you're engaging with a conversation with yourself. Do I want to dust it? Even where will I put this at home? Because everything in my house, every surface pretty much has its stuff. I love those crazy spaghetti lamps that look like they're made of spun plastic and all those wonderful colors. I have looked at those for decades. There is not a good place in the house that we currently live to hang one of those. There just isn't. So I admire them when I see them in the stores. I love them. I'll take a picture of them, but I know that it wouldn't work for my home, and I'm okay with that, because what I don't want to do is spend $400 on one and then come home knowing that there's not really a good place to hang it. Yeah, exactly, Wendy. So notice what we're doing. We're slowing down. We're asking ourselves the questions, kind of reading the signs. We're reading the words outside on the billboards. You know, kind of like, what was that? It's definitely too old for all of us, but the Burma shave signs, it's kind of a thing yeah. There we go. Another one. Yeah. But the lamp would probably terrify my doggies. So that would be another thought. Would this scare the dogs? Right. Does this fit in with my decor? Even if it's free. But think about that. When you are slowly driving down the road, those questions that pop up like the Burma shave signs. Do I really need it? Or am I just feeling like I could use a little soothing? If I get it, where's a good place for me to put it at home? If I don't get this, will I regret not buying this? And that's one that gets me a lot, as we said earlier today, and it bears repeating. Hearing something calling to you from the store after you left. How long do you hear that song of "Come get me"? Is it as soon as you get out of the door, you're like, "No, I'm good"? Or are you still walking down the street saying, "You know what? How will I feel if I go back there and somebody else bought that? Maybe I should go back and hang out with that thing a lot. There may be something there." Again, I know this sounds silly, but this 15 euro little bag that I bought, there were 3 versions: gray, blue, and red. Considering I think gray is a color, that's the one I picked. And the woman was saying, oh, if you go and buy our liquor in duty free, buy 2 bottles and you'll get a free bag. And I said, okay, interesting, because I do want to buy a bottle for a friend. I said, is the gray one available if I buy it there? And they said, no, the gray one is only available here. Well, suddenly I was so glad I exchanged I was in a conversation with her about it because I was like, oh, see, I would have been bummed if I went thinking that it was going to be there. So I'm so glad I asked and I got the thing. And again, I look at it and it delights me. It adds light to me. It lights me up. I don't care what anybody else thinks of it, but it reminds me of a good thing and I think it's great. And do I say no to like 9 trillion other little canvas bags? Oh, hell yeah. You guys know. So many canvas bags out there, right? But that one, did I need one? You don't need that. But I kind of wanted it. You can't be, and it's like, yeah, I'm allowing myself to spend 15 euro on something that every time I look at it makes me smile. Yeah. Yeah. And yes, that's a funny thing. So Wendy, I love this too. I'm glad I'm not alone with this. Wendy says, I have that talk with myself. It's on sale. My kitchen declutter was getting rid of stuff that had expired because I was going to use it sometimes. So two things that come up to me. One is thank you for letting me know I'm not alone. Here's a funny thing. When I go shopping now, I shop to solve problems. I do not shop to add clutter to my life. I used to go to the clearance rack and see what they had because it was like, yeah, but it was only $5. Now, if I'm looking for something specific and it happens to be on the clearance rack and on sale, cool. But I'm not going convincing myself to buy something just because it's inexpensive. But I used to do that a lot. I did. Oh my God, the 90% off rack? There must be something here. How can I not buy it? It's only $8 or whatever. Getting more comfortable with spending things, paying more money for things, but things that you want. Yeah. And you're talking about this is interesting. The kitchen declutter, Wendy, saying going to use it sometimes. Yeah. It's not a deal if you don't have the need. Yeah, it's actually a waste of money. Even $8 is still a waste of money. You could have said, I saved myself $8 by not buying something I didn't want or I didn't use. Wednesday is the 22nd. I had put this on my calendar last year. October 22nd of last year, I did a declutter of the spice cabinet in our kitchen. And I can't believe it's already a year ago. Now, my husband's not around, so I will be not necessarily pitching anything that hasn't expired because he's more of the guy. Ooh, yes. Yeah. So it will be interesting for me to see the things that didn't expire last year. Do we still have something that we might use sometime? Oh, we might use that marjoram or whatever, or your paprika, or has it expired? Yeah. Yeah. And therapy gals too. Yes, I shop to solve problems. Yeah. If I need a thing, I go out and buy the thing. I have a problem. I don't have anything to eat in the house. I go buy food. I need more my underpants are all ratty and falling apart. I buy more underpants. But yeah, it fills a need, a need, not just a whatever. But yeah, I shop to solve problems. I really do. I really do. And it works out really well because you will need to spend money on stuff, It's just not like I don't do it recreationally. Okay. Yay. I'm glad you wrote it down. Okay. Now, Cheryl says, I used to do that too, but when me and my wife paid off all our credit cards off 4 years ago, we have no credit cards still. Now, here's an interesting thing. I love that that works for you. Yeah, I actually, Wendy's saying, Cheryl, congrats on being credit card free. That is my current work in progress, getting my debt paid down. Only buy with cash. Now, here's the thing. I will be a voice from another perspective. I have multiple credit cards. I put pretty much everything I buy, I put on a credit card. And I'll tell you why. Because I have gone on some free trips as I go for my credit card bills. But I pay off my credit cards. But it's like I have hundreds of thousands of points that I can use for flights and hotels. So that's why I use a credit card. But I use it as if it was cash. because I never accumulate the interest because I have the ability to do that. Um, so I don't think having a credit card is a bad thing because I'm using them responsibly, and you can benefit. I mean, you can seriously, if you're, to me, this is my perspective, and I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. You do what works for you. If you're going to be spending money on it anyway, it can't hurt to get an added benefit from it. I've gotten free nights in hotels. We have paid, we're going to Key West in December. We used American Airlines points for that. I've used Marriott points for staying in Boston. Yeah. And even getting some money back on it. Now, again, I don't do it in a way that causes me to get into debt or things like that. So examine your circumstances. I find it fun to be able to see how many points we've accumulated because I can transform them into other things. Yeah. And I will just say it is leaving money on the table, you know? Ooh, there we go. Wendy says, reminds me, I need to put the medicine cabinet on the rotation for declutter to get rid of expired items. Yeah, you use like a Neosporin once, and then the tube is there for like ever. Oh my goodness, you guys, we got like 3 minutes left. So many good things to think about and talk about. So many things we have in similar, and some things were different, and that's okay. You doing what works for you makes you feel good. Me doing what makes me feel good. And as long as we're not hurting anybody else, we're doing okay. So I'm going to sign off momentarily because I have some coaching to get into and I need to use the small room. Okay. Yeah. I love it. I love it, Wendy. And thank you for participating in the comments so much. It really gives me, I never want to be the person who's talking to myself all the time. So thank you for keeping me company. Yes. Such good stuff. And notice you're on the road to decluttering your debt. A good thing. All right. But debt can be good sometimes. I don't know. All right. Wishing me a fab day. Thank you. Wish me luck that I'm going to find some shoes for this wedding that I like and would wear again. And I wish you all a fab day as well. Okay. Tomorrow we've got TikTok live, YouTube live, that type of thing. This Friday is a declutter party. More good stuff. And I will see you guys later. All right.